Morning. Thank you. Welcome to Needham. Mary approached us a short while ago and said that we have an opportunity through some grants with DEP and the coalition to put on a workshop. And we're here to learn as much as well too. We're part of the Charles River watershed. Needham actually has the longest frontage on the Charles River. 3/4 of our border is the Charles River. So when you start counting outfalls, then we're up at around 300. So it's interesting. But we were fortunate enough to have some new facilities here. We've got some old facilities, and there's an opportunity for you to experience some of the things that we've been able to incorporate when we built this new building, to use the natural terrain, and as well as to find out where some of our stuff that we'd like to hide from the public eye, but actually everything affects the outfalls and where the stormwater goes. So I hope you have a good day here. We actually brought some rainfall in for you just to kind of interest you a little bit further. I think you got a great team here. They've done a lot of great setup, and hopefully you have a great workshop. Thank you very much and welcome. Take care.
And so now I want to bring Rob McNeil up. Rob is from the town of Millbury. He's the DPW director in Millbury, but he's also representing the Central Mass Regional Stormwater Coalition. And that was the first stormwater coalition in the Commonwealth. And it's through the Stormwater Coalition. They were the ones that received the grant from Mass DEP to do part of the work you're seeing here today, and I'll explain some of the other projects they've got going. It's got a statewide audience, but it's the coalition that's actually managing and directing it. So, Rob?
So Mary basically just told you everything I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
But in all seriousness, Rob McNeil, Director of Public Works in Millbury, Mass. If you don't know where that is, it's one town bordering to the south of Worcester. So the coalition, just a very brief overview, with the sort of the threat of EPA's new MS4 permit going back probably 5-6 years now, and a lot of small towns like Millbury dealing with what's next, as many of you are. So we've all got, we started with a core group of a few people talking, but ultimately 13 towns signed on to sort of committing technical staff and administrative staff, essentially from the town administrator, town manager level, and the public works director or town engineer level, to essentially come together and share ideas and fears of, what is this all going to be, how is it going to affect us, and how can we do things together. So it was originally, the effort was really funded, with human capital, but also some real dollars from a state innovation grant. It kicked off with a decent chunk of change, and the whole intent was to develop tools and really put ideas to paper that could be spread throughout the Commonwealth to help folks like really anyone that's in this business from the municipal level to really start to tailor these generic tools to their own programs. So I invite you to go to our website, Central Mass Regional Stormwater Coalition. It has now grown from 13 communities to 30, and it's, we're still picking up steam. So we're all in this together. I would just invite you to, look around, meet some new people today, exchange your business cards or just contact information, and we all have something to learn from each other. So Fuss & O'Neill's been a great facilitator, so we look forward to having them run us through the mill today.
Super. Thanks, Rob. Rob spoke a little bit about CM, Central Mass Regional Stormwater Coalition, but today's project has these partners. Again, I noted earlier that Mass DEP, with Fred Sivian's support, he's been very active in contributing to this particular project. They gave Central Mass a grant for $50,000 to develop something that reaches out to MS4s throughout the Commonwealth. And this is just one of the projects. So this workshop includes Fuss & O'Neill, the team from Fuss & O'Neill, and you hear several of us speak later about the BMPs, about the SWIPs, and about the water quality monitoring. We've got People GIS with Kevin Flanders. He'll be doing a presentation later on how GIS and GPS support your stormwater program. People has also been a long-time advocate and worker with Central Mass Regional Stormwater Coalition. The folks you see running around with the cameras, that's Perry Hallinan and his coworker. They're recording this event today, so it can become a learning tool or a refresher for you to go back and see what you missed. Some of you may know Mark. He's a municipal financial expert, and he's already recorded a 30-minute video that talks about a stormwater utility. The goal of that is for you folks to send your select boards, your finance committees, whomever might be responsible for working with you to help identify additional funding sources for the program. And a stormwater utility is an option that Mass DEP and EPA is recommending. And here's a tutorial from Mark on how to do that. And then, of course, the town of Needham. You heard from Rick, but Rick's staff has been fantastic in getting this whole program together. And when we get you out around the site, you'll see why we picked this particular site to do the training on. So today's workshop goals, okay? So we're targeting the new or inexperienced MS4 workers, staff. You can do it, it's not that difficult, don't overthink it. So we're focusing on minimum control measure 3, which is the illicit discharge detection and elimination component, and the SWIP, and that's brand new to the permits, developing stormwater pollution prevention plans. So ideally, you know, if you're new to the MS4 program, you're going to leave with a lot of good information. If you've been doing it, hopefully you're going to leave learning something new that you didn't know before. So we're going to take you outside later, and you're going to see some of the highlights of the site here, and the experienced team is going to show you in 15-minute intervals. You're going to be split into teams, you know, how to do water quality sampling, how to use GPS to map your infrastructure, how to develop a SWIP, and what some of the BMPs are that are here, and, you know, talk a little bit about how they're performing. So when you go home, back to your community, ideally you're going to be able to talk to those others in your community about what you learned today and what can contribute to your stormwater management plans, which will be due September of 2017, which really isn't that far away in the municipal world. So today's team, these are who you're going to be interacting with, includes me. I'm Mary Monahan. I'm with Fuss & O'Neill. And as noted, I was there in 2003, 2004 when that first permit came out. And back then I was working with another consulting firm. And our challenge was in, number one, getting communities, newly regulated communities, to understand that this is not just a DPW problem. So for those folks from DPW here, I'm sure you're going to appreciate that. But maybe you need to continue that discussion back in your community. And the other thing back in 2003, 2004, we realized was none of you were starting from scratch, just like you're not right now. You know, you need to take advantage of what you're already doing. This doesn't have to be a whole new construction project. Being aware of what your planning board, Concom, you know, even Board of Selectmen, Board of Health, what are they doing that contributes to stormwater management? That's important to making sure your permit, number one, includes the participation by numerous boards, but also keeps the cost down so you're not creating anything new. So Bill Gunther's also from Fuss & O'Neill. He'll be doing the water quality sampling. So Bill has worked in water resources and water quality for over a decade. He was responsible for water quality monitoring and IDDE programs in several watershed towns. Today, Bill now works in our Water and Natural Resources Planning Department, that's Fuss & O'Neill, on many different stormwater projects and MS4 related projects, including gap analyses. Jennifer Kavanaugh is a senior project engineer with Fuss & O'Neill and a certified professional in municipal stormwater management. She's been involved in the MS4 program. She works directly with municipalities throughout Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and New York to ensure compliance with all stormwater general permits, including the MS4, the industrial and construction permits. Dan Delaney has spent the last 15 years working on private development and municipal infrastructure projects. He has specialized in developing practical and efficient stormwater management solutions, which balance regulatory compliance, implementation costs, as well as long-term O&M requirements. And Kevin Flanders. Kevin is the CEO of People GIS. Kevin has been providing GIS and data management services to municipalities for more than 25 years. Brutus Cantareggi, who is the DPW director for the town of Franklin and on the planning board in the town of Millis. And Brutus is going to talk to you folks about how a small DPW like Franklin can embrace BMPs and make the stormwater program part of business as usual. And Fred Sivian is at an Environmental Business Council meeting today in Boston, but he will be leaving that at lunchtime to join us here. So those who haven't met Fred, who is the Mass DEP Stormwater Coordinator, have a chance to introduce yourselves. Today's agenda: we're going to introduce you to the actual tools and the sights and sounds of going out in the field and doing outfall inspections, mapping stormwater system attributes, BMPs that are on the site, and the stormwater pollution prevention plans. And our team will do that. We're going to divide you into 4 teams. There's going to be 4 staging areas where you will begin 15 minutes of demonstration, whether it's water quality sampling, walking through the facilities to look at elements of concern in developing a SWIP. So at 11:15, we're going to be back in here talking about what you all saw. That's your chance for questions then, because you're limited to just 15 minutes per site. And then at 12:30, Brutus will do his presentation while you're wrapping up your lunchtime. And again, with all that cool knowledge you would have learned in the field, you'll see how Brutus and the town of Franklin are actually applying it. And then at 1:30, we'll wrap into some final discussion. The idea is hopefully Fred's here and he can contribute to that. And I promise you'll all be back on the road, going home at 1:45.